Welcome back, guys, to the dial. Stay on the watch. My name is Daniel. So, I did an episode a while ago, episode 8. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it, where I spoke about some micro watch brands that I think you should know. And I got a lot of love, got a lot of concern. Especially, some people mentioned a particular watch brand that, how can you not talk about them if you mention about micro watch brands? What about these ones? Or what about these guys? And I was like, fair enough. So, in that spirit, we're going to do a video on them today. This micro watch brand started in 2017. And from a Kickstarter, from Kickstarter to Stardom. I think that'll be the title of the video. From Kickstarter to Stardom. 2017, not a long time, and yet these guys are making waves in the industry. And the story behind this brand, founded by Mr. Etienne Malik. If you know, you know. Yes, I'm talking about Baltic watches. Some of your favorites. You know, we know our community. Some of you guys love Baltic watches. So do I. We want to talk about them. Such a special watch brand that has been able to combine vintage with modern, with mid-century, with style, with function. It's a very unique brand. But I can talk about them all day, so let's get into it. So, like I said, Baltic was founded in 2017 by Mr. Etienne Malik. His passion for watchmaking came from his father, after being surrounded by vintage watch collections as well as meticulous notes, which inspired him into his journey of Baltic watches as we know today. In fact, this made him drive deeper into the world, and he saw a gap in the market. Beautifully crafted, vintage-inspired watches with modern functionality at an affordable price. And thus, the journey of Baltic begins, with the Kickstarter program on the two particular models from Mr. Malik being the Bipomax 001 and the HMS 001, capturing the essence of the mid-20th century horological style of the time. And as you can imagine, it was an instant hit with over 1,200 pre-orders. This made it almost unrecognizable to a lot of people. But what made it so appealing? The fact that it had a perfect balance of reliability, function, like I said, with a touch of that vintage aesthetic, that vintage charm, if you will. By the end of the first campaign, Baltic had already established itself as a micro brand in the watch world. From their first one. Imagine that. When it's meant to be, as they say. The design philosophy of Baltic is quite simple. The dedication to vintage-inspired creations. They set apart from a lot of other retro-themed brands. For example, one of our favorite ones here at the dial being Xeric. Their attention to detail and craftsmanship, as well as each element of a Balkan watch being reminiscent of the 1940s and 50s, like domed crystals and manual winding movements. Their reliable movements, such as the Miyota 821A and the Seagull ST1901, ensures that these watches, of course, are not only beautiful, but work really, really well. For example, the HMS 001, very simple, inspiration from classic mid-century designs with a clean dial and durable materials. Or the Bipomax 001, as previously mentioned, which is a tribute to the vintage chronograph era, with dual sub-dial layouts powered by a hand-wound mechanical movement. Their success, again, comes from the blending of heritage and modernity. With, of course, contemporary build quality, they create watches that are not only stylish, yet also functional. Like I said, the waves that this brand has created in the industry, being a relatively young brand, founded in 2017, they've gathered critical acclaim. Their watches have been recognized by their accessible price points, attention to detail, and vintage-inspired aesthetic. But the big break, to some, is definitely the world of collectors when they had participated in the Only Watch auction, a prestigious charity event where brands create unique one-off timepieces to raise funds for medicinal research. Baltic's inclusion in this event marked a significant milestone, proving that not only they're just a micro brand, But of course, they're a serious player in this game. They also stood out from the community engagement, with Etienne Malik frequently interacting with their fans and collectors, further strengthening the bond and connection, sort of creating this family of a customer base. Now, they've got many iconic watches, but this just might be their most iconic watch. The Baltic Aquascape is possibly their most iconic watch, released in 2018. This model quickly became a flagship. It's a dive watch. You guys know how much I love my dive watches. I still haven't bought one, by the way. But anyway, their dive watches, and this particular one, encapsulates Baltic's dedication to vintage design and, of course, modern performance. This watch features a unidirectional dive bezel, 200 meters of water resistance, sapphire crystal glass, and it is extremely beautiful in my personal opinion, but of course it is highly functional, made of the very best materials at an affordable price yet again. It is available with either stainless steel case or bronze variant, and the latter develops a unique patina over time on the dial, just adding to the character again of that vintage look and feel. Aquascape has become a fan favorite because of its versatility, its robustness for its actual function being diving 200 meters, it's not a joke, and of course refined as well for everyday wear. They constantly find a way to balance all the needs of the watch and yet remind you of the past but keeps you in the present. So it's really, really cool. And yes, it's a great value for money, making it a popular choice among many collectors who want a quality dive watch without breaking the bank. You know, I think it's very difficult for us to find brands that don't immediately enter the market at a price range that is quite inaccessible to most people, especially where we come from in South Africa. You find it very difficult, you know, a lot of the time when we think of watches as a community, we think of the big guys, very expensive, very out of reach, if you will. And then if you're in this world and you do a little bit more research, you understand actually, I can probably sometimes even get watches made of better quality, have a better story, have a better meaning, have better functioning parts even to their timepieces, but a significant price drop. And brand new as well. No one has to sacrifice secondhand if that's not your style. We'll actually do a video on secondhand watches, I think. The secondhand market. But anyway, so now that I've spoken about Baltic and you know about Baltic and you probably want a Baltic, as do I. What is next for Baltic? What do we think is next? I mean, 2017 to now, very short space of time, 7-8 years. And, you know, they continue to evolve. They continue to grow. And their commitment to vintage horology in terms of their style and process in creating their watches is quite admirable, especially in a world where now we're very much focused on modernity. We're very much focused on, okay, how do we modernize? You know, what is the industrial way? What is the futuristic way? Baltic, the complete opposite. It allows them, and I think that this allows them to experiment. I think they've put themselves in a position where they can kind of create any watch they want, really, and play around and see what doesn't and what does work, but staying true to their roots as well. Creating new variations of the Aquascape or expanding their chronograph collections, it's so clear that Baltic has so much more to offer to the world of watches, to horology, and they definitely will. They are a very small fish in a big pond, in fact. You know, they are very much involved in the pool of heritage focused watch brands, but Baltic have found a niche and they are offering something different, fresh and nostalgic. You see how I'm playing with opposites, but this is really what Baltic are so good at doing. And as they grow, it'll be very exciting, especially for us here at the Dial, to see what Mr. Etienne Malik and his team at Baltic are willing to do. Let's see how much they push their boundaries, and yeah, let's see what magic they come with next. And I think, I'm more of a classic guy myself, so their vintage charm as well on their timepieces is something that I appreciate as well. And again, functional yet stylish, everyday, but has a specific purpose. It's almost the perfect blend. I guess perfection doesn't exist, but I mean, that's it for me, guys. I think you guys can let me know, what's your favorite Baltic, and are there any other micro watch brands you'd love us to talk about? The next one I want to talk about is another French brand. I won't give it away, but another French micro brand that make very, very beautiful watches. So stay tuned for that episode. But like we say, follow, like, share, subscribe, all those nice things. If you want to just say hello, we'll say hi back. And yeah, it's been Daniel at the dial. And never forget to stay on the watch.